Then we have the Navy. Now, the U.S. Navy, well, let me just preface this. I'm myself and many others online, well, several others online, on social media with a reasonable social media presence, who you might consider experts in tech of some kind because of stuff they've done historically or otherwise, have long stated that the entire premise of third-party packages being imported by programmers and companies relying on open source software as the primary mechanism by which you get features out the door, you delegate security responsibility to third parties, essentially all of this third-party stuff has gone way too far in the delegation spectrum. We delegate way too much as an industry to third parties and then kind of wash our hands of it, and it gives us the ability to absolve our responsibility, which is very bad and has led to disastrous results. And unfortunately, the US Navy is paying a price for doing this exact thing. US Navy backs right to repair after $13 billion carrier crew left half fed by contractor locked ovens. So this is kind of a lateral article, like it's not exactly a tech-based article about software, but you can see how third-party vendor lock-in can cause some serious harm. So what the hell is this article talking about? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. U.S. Navy Secretary John Fallon has told the Senate the service needs the right to repair its own gear and will rethink how it writes contracts to keep control of intellectual property and ensure sailors can fix hardware, especially in a fight. So what happened was there was a carrier ship that was trying to ensure that there was enough food for the crew of over 4,500 because 6 of its 8 ovens were out of actions and sailors were barred by contract from fixing them themselves. So Fallon says, I am a huge supporter of right to repair. I went on the carrier. They had 8 ovens. This is a ship that serves 15,300 meals a day. Only 2 were working, 6 were out. The issue is that they have people who can actually who can actually fix the ovens, but you can't because it's part of the contract that you're not allowed to touch the thing. Otherwise it like voids warranty, things like this. And as a result of this, they had to wait essentially for the vendor, the third-party vendor, to fix the problem for them. Now they did bring up a similar issue that I think is also quite interesting. USS Gerald Ford's weapons elevators, which move bombs from deep storage to the flight deck. They reportedly took more than 4 years after delivery to become fully operational, delaying the carrier's first proper deployment. They have to come out, diagnose the problem, and then they'll fix it. It's crazy. We should be able to fix this. The Navy is not alone in its concerns, as the U.S. Army is peeved about the right to repair equipment it paid for, too. In a rare display of bipartisanship, both Democrats and Republicans agreed the Army shouldn't be waiting on contractors to fix its kit, and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth issued a memo directing the service to add right to repair provisions to its contracts. This points to an issue that we're seeing in the tech industry as well. Imagine that you're building like your own form of a carrier and you import a package, you npm install it, you Python or pip install it, Composer install it, Rust Cargo Crate install it. You use a third-party service for your authentication mechanisms. There's plenty out there. You use a third-party service for your database management. There's plenty out there. You use these libraries to configure your S3 buckets. You can look at the counter down below, which I have to change. It's going to be 311 days. Essentially, you just take stuff that you should be responsible for. As programmers, as managers of programmers, as executives of companies with programmers, if you're producing anything that has a software or code-centric system at its core, you should be responsible. You should have all the abilities that are required to maintain that piece of whatever it is, that product. And when you're handing out your responsibility to third parties, kind of like what's going on with the Army here, you are essentially handcuffing yourself. You're locking yourself in to that third party, even if they are open source or paid, it doesn't matter. You are dependent upon them because you have no concept or awareness of what you're importing. And I'm not just saying this. This isn't just me talking. There's an enlightened programming stream. If you go on my YouTube channel, you can just type in !YouTube and you go to my live tab. There's also a playlist called Enlightened Programming on that channel, and you can go on that playlist. And there is a study I did, and I believe it was an open source study. The title of it might include the word open source in it. If you look at that study, over 90% of corporations, done at least in, I believe it was a North American study. It might have been only in the US, but North American, if memory serves me right, are dependent 100% on open source code. So 90% of those corporations that were surveyed have a 100% code dependency on open source code, which is a huge attack vector. And you can see how something in the Army, like not being able to fix your own damn ovens, or not being able to fix an elevator that ships particular, ammunitions from the storage, at the bottom, the storage deck or whatever, up to the top deck. These kinds of things should absolutely be within the hands of the Army to be able to deal with internally so that they do not have to wait for things like that. Imagine what would happen if you were in the middle of a battle. What are you going to do? Right? What are you going to do? Are you going to obey the law that you have, or the agreement you signed with a third-party vendor, and be like, well, we can't fix this thing because that's what our contract says? I don't think so. I really don't think so. And it's going to, even if you're not in the middle of a battle, it's going to mean that you're going to be sitting out there for years waiting for something to get fixed, which means that you're going to be unprepared should you be called to battle, right? So the whole premise of rely on third parties, trust the experts, why reinvent the wheel? Why would you want to know how to do things yourself? You absolutely do want to know. It's part of our damn job.